What's up, guys? I'm Bash Crowley. This is Manly Men Cook with Cast Iron, and I'm actually going to bake today. What? Manly Men don't bake? Yeah, we do. Get over it. It's okay to bake. So I'm making cinnamon rolls because everybody freaking loves those, right? And they're really pretty simple. Bread in general is simple, but it takes a little while. Requires a little bit of patience. So that's what I'm doing today, though. I'm going to make cinnamon rolls. All right. You need yeast, flour, salt, cinnamon, butter, a little bit of brown sugar. Again, pretty simple. And like always, the exact amounts will be in the description for the recipe. A couple of tablespoons yeast. Make a tablespoon of sugar, brown sugar preferably. I just like the flavor more. About a tablespoon and a half. My wooden spoon. Mix up those dry ingredients. Alright, got that mixed up. I'm going to go ahead and over here, I've got a stick of butter. I'm going to soften that up, melt it up in a saucepan, whatever you want to call it. And that'll take a couple of minutes. So you don't want to do it over really high heat because you don't want to necessarily scorch the butter. So the trick is do it over fairly low heat and try to keep it moving. I'm going to take my spoon. It's okay, there's a little bit of flour. It's not going to hurt anything. Just kind of keep it moving around in there. Like, just maybe circles, whatever you want to do. Back and forth, I don't really care. So I'll let this melt and, come back to you. All right, that's all melted now. And again, I don't want to get it too hot and scorch it, just melt it because it's going right into here. And if it's too hot, you can kill some of that yeast as well when you're putting it in there. All right, cool. So stick of butter. Start off with about 2 cups of warm water, about skin temperature. Mix this up with your spoon. I always used to like when I was a kid doing this by hand, actually, because it's kind of fun. It's all messy. Sometime, I guess my childlike soul died and I started using a spoon. At least for the first portion of it. And you can always add a little bit of water. The great thing about making any sort of bread product like this is if it's going to be too dry, you can add a bit of water. If it's going to be too wet, you can add a little more flour. It's not overly complicated. I think that, there's no need to follow a strict guideline for it once you've got the basics down. I often won't measure anything that I'm putting in when I'm just cooking for myself. this is the fun part. Putting it right on the counter. You want to make sure everything's clean before you do this. And I probably have a bunch of flour dust floating around everywhere. And knead it. This will distribute all that yeast and salt and sugar and everything else nice and well. And helps its consistency. Get all those little bits back in there. If you start running out of flour, or you feel like it's starting to stick to the counter or the board or whatever you're using, just sprinkle a little more flour on there. This is fun. It's kind of therapeutic. You know, you can kind of treat it like I don't know, like you're pushing the, freaking bank man's face into the... Not from personal feelings. Punch it a little bit. Takes it. Alright, and you're pretty well done when you can push that in and it springs back up. I might flour it a little bit more. Give it a little more kneading. It springs up pretty well. Doesn't have to come all the way up every time, but that's pretty good. And now you can either wash your bowl or use another one. Going to use another bowl. And you just go ahead and butter the inside of a bowl. Whoops. I like to butter it pretty well. And don't be one of those people that takes the stick and goes like this. Nobody likes those people. Why?
Yeah.
Just nobody does. I don't know. It's one of those things. Like no one likes bad parkers. It's people that take up 4 spaces with their tiny little frickin', vehicle. Because they don't want somebody nicking the paint. Alright. So we get that buttered up. Throw that in there. And kind of try to get butter all over the outside of it as best as you can. And what this is going to do is when it's rising, it'll help it keep it from drying out and cracking. But there's cracks in it. Yeah, as it rises, those will even out and fill in and whatnot. So I'm going to put a towel over this and let it rise until it's about doubled in bulk. Usually takes about an hour, depending on temperatures, if it's a colder day or you keep your house a little bit cooler, like down in the 50s or 60s or something for whatever reason, it'll take a bit longer. Yeast needs heat to rise. So about 70 degrees, 65, 70 degrees, average room temperature. Takes about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. Weather can dictate different things, on a nice rainy day, it actually seems like it rises faster. I don't know why that is. I really don't. But that's what I'm hoping for today. So I'll be back when this is doubled in bulk and show you what to do. All right, guys, I am back, and this dough has pretty much doubled in size. It's hard to tell sometimes in there, exactly. So I've got another trick here. One of the ways you can tell when it's risen enough is if you poke it. You see how it's not springing back up at all? You can go ahead and take it out. I like to punch it once, maybe twice, depending. Have I had to talk to my ungrateful 17-year-old son today? I might punch it 3 or 4 times. I've got rage issues today. Put a little bit of flour down on your board or your counter, whichever you're going to do. Some people will put a board down and knead it on that, but I like to do it right there on the counter. Just going to, a couple of times, knead it. Now I'm going to roll it out. It's actually harder than it looks. And if it's sticking at all, you can just add a little bit of flour to the rolling pin, and that'll prevent it from sticking any. But this one's not sticking. It's a good stiff dough. All right, that looks pretty good right there. I'll take my brown sugar, just kind of sprinkle it on there. And you're going to use however much you really feel like you need. There's no set amount here. If you like it sweeter, make it sweeter. Obviously, the more you use, the sweeter it's going to be, and the messier it's going to be once it's done baking. Take your ground cinnamon. And I've already got my oven preheating to 425 Fahrenheit. I have no idea what that translates to in Celsius. Actually, I'm going to go this way with it. Roll it up just like that. Oh, that made a lot of noise. Grab a cutting board. And just any old knife will do. Cut them up into pieces, about like that. We'll put them right in the skillet. And that's been already greased up with a little bit of bacon grease, but you can use butter, oil, whatever. I like to use oil or bacon grease. Put them right in there. I like them touching. Just makes the most sense to me. No big deal. You do something like that, throw it in there anyway. Maybe do that. Right. I'll get a smaller pan and do the same thing with the rest of that. Let's see, my oven looks about heated up, so we're gonna throw those right in there. And I will finish cutting this up and be back when those are done. We're gonna put those in there for about 15 minutes to see, and yeah, we'll check them in about 15 minutes. Alright, we're gonna check on these. The timer just went off. Those are almost done. And these actually totally plumped up better than I expected. More than I expected, I should say. So, I'm gonna give those just a couple more minutes. Stop that. Yeah, it looks good. Alright. These actually totally rose better than I expected them to. Normally I don't expect them to get quite that big. But those are done. And I will let those cool off a little bit. But I'm going to do one thing real quick while they're still hot. I'm going to take some maple syrup. This is optional. You don't have to do this. But it's so good. This is vanilla bean maple syrup. If you're wondering what that weird thing sticking out is. I don't want to overdo it.
You want the vanilla
bloopers.
bean.
Right. There we go. I'm just going to add that to it for some extra flavor. And once those have cooled down, you're ready to go. Just pull them out of there and they'll come right apart. Use a spatula or something. So, if you try this recipe, you like it, give a thumbs up, share the video, all that good stuff. And I will catch you next time. Okay, so I'm missing one because my wife ran away with it, and I really wish that she would ever look at me the way that she looked at these. And I just know that's never going to happen, but I got them onto the plate here, and, to serve them, just pull them right off like that. I'm going to have one. Look at that, that's so cool. With coffee. My wife bought me this coffee cup. I think she found it at a thrift store somewhere, with a couple others. But I did want to briefly mention, some people like to put a glaze on these, and I don't really see the need to. I think that's way too sweet. But if you want to, glaze away. I mean, they're yours. I don't need no glaze. That one isn't even one of the ones with the maple syrup on it. That's good. I'll catch y'all next time.